The Treasury's acknowledgement didn't just move markets. It sent shockwaves through every corner of the financial world. Traders, analysts, and policymakers scrambled to interpret what it meant. Investors who had been quietly holding for years suddenly found themselves in the spotlight. This was no longer speculation. It was confirmation. And confirmation at the highest level carries weight that cannot be ignored. A long-dismissed dream for decades, the very idea of a revaluation was mocked. Economists rolled their eyes. Financial advisors dismissed it as a scam. Mainstream media barely touched the subject, except to ridicule. But behind the scenes, everyday people held on. They bought dinar, they bought dong. They stored them in safes, envelopes, and boxes, and they waited. Waiting became a way of life. It wasn't just about money. It was about faith, conviction, and patience. The day has come now. Those same holders have woken up to historic headlines. Treasury confirms revaluation. Markets brace for reset. From whisper to reality. It is the kind of moment that turns belief into vindication. The kind of moment that changes not only portfolios but lives. Iraq's story, the dinar, carries a heavy history. Once a proud and powerful currency, it collapsed under the weight of war and sanctions. It was reduced to pennies, its value erased. But Iraq itself was never poor. Beneath its deserts lie some of the largest oil reserves in the world. Oil that powers economies, fuels nations, and drives global demand. Investors always believed Iraq's currency would one day reflect its resources. Today, that belief no longer feels like hope, it feels like reality. Vietnam's journey, the dong, tells a different story. Vietnam's government deliberately undervalued it. Why? To keep exports cheap, to keep factories humming, to attract foreign buyers. The strategy worked. Vietnam became a rising star in Asia. It became a hub for global manufacturing. Technology companies, fashion brands, and supply chains all planted their roots there. But the dong never reflected that growth. Until now. With the revaluation, Vietnam's economic strength is no longer hidden. Its currency is stepping into alignment with its true power. The human side, imagine being the veteran who picked up dinar during deployment. He held it quietly, despite mockery from friends. Today, his faith is rewarded. Picture the small business owner who collected dong on her trips. She saw something others didn't. Now her savings have multiplied into generational wealth. These are not Wall Street elites. They are ordinary people. And for them, this revaluation is more than financial. It is life-changing. A global reset. This is not just about Iraq, not just about Vietnam. It's about the global system recalibrating. Central banks must adjust reserves. Forex markets must rewrite their models. Policymakers must rethink strategies built on dollar dominance. The rules of the financial game are shifting, and the revaluation is a symbol of that shift. What comes next? The Treasury's role cannot be understated. Its statement is more than words, it is validation. It is the moment speculation became fact. But questions remain. Will other undervalued currencies follow? Will this spark a broader restructuring of the global monetary order? Is this the first domino in a chain reaction toward digital and asset-backed systems? Only time will tell. But for now, history has been made. The significance of this moment cannot be overstated. It is not just a headline, not just a financial adjustment. It is a global recalibration of economic power. The revaluation of the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong is far more than a number on a currency board. It is history being rewritten in real time. It is the financial world acknowledging what investors had whispered for years. Iraq's legacy, the dinar, carries a story heavy with hardship. It is the legacy of a nation that endured war, sanctions, and political instability. Its currency collapsed into near worthlessness. Yet Iraq itself was never without strength. Beneath its soil lay vast oil reserves, among the largest in the world. Energy wealth that could, and eventually would, redefine its place in the global economy. Investors believed the dinar could not remain suppressed forever. They argued it must one day reflect Iraq's resources, its trade power, and its energy dominance. For years, that belief was mocked. But today, it stands vindicated. Vietnam's story, the Vietnamese dong, took a different path. Unlike Iraq, its currency was not destroyed by war alone. It was deliberately undervalued, a tool to supercharge exports. For decades, Vietnam pursued a strategy that kept its goods cheap and attractive on global markets. Factories multiplied. Foreign investors arrived in waves. Vietnam became one of Asia's fastest-growing economies, yet, through it all, the dong remained low in value. Ordinary citizens lived with limited purchasing power. Savvy investors recognized the imbalance. They knew a correction was inevitable. That correction is no longer speculation. It has arrived. The long debate for over a decade, debates raged. Investors gathered in forums, on conference calls, in private groups. They spoke of contract rates, redemption centers, and quiet negotiations behind closed doors. Mainstream analysts scoffed. They dismissed the revaluation narrative as a scam. They called it a dream, a conspiracy, a false hope. But those who held on possessed something different. They had patience. They had foresight. And they had conviction. The Treasury's signal that conviction is now paying off. The acknowledgement by the U.S. Treasury changes everything. It is not just symbolic. It is validation at the highest level. The phrase, revaluation talks with international partners, carries enormous weight. It signals coordination between governments, banks, and global institutions. It reveals that long-guarded negotiations are no longer hidden. For insiders, this is the proof they always believed would come. It confirms what was once whispered, that private rates exist, that tiered exchanges are real, that elite contracts were not myth but preparation. This is how whispers become headlines. This is how speculation becomes confirmation. And this is how history shifts before our eyes. Everyday investors, extraordinary outcomes for the everyday holder of dinar or dong. This is not just about paper currency. It is about something deeper, something life-altering. It is about dreams realized. It is about debts lifted. It is about financial futures rewritten in real time. Already, personal stories are surfacing. Stories that had been hidden in silence for years. Stories that now carry the weight of vindication. A veteran who bought dinar during his service in Iraq has become a symbol of resilience. For years, he endured the mockery of skeptics. For years, he was told he had wasted his money. But today, he stands on the edge of life-changing security. Then there is the traveler. A woman who steadily collected dong while doing business in Vietnam. Each trip, she tucked away a little more. Each trip, she gambled on a possibility most dismissed. Now, her gamble has transformed into generational wealth. These are not stories of Wall Street billionaires. They are not tales of hedge funds moving billions overnight. They are the stories of ordinary people. They are the stories of families who chose to believe in an extraordinary possibility. Patience is rarely glamorous. It demands sacrifice. It demands silence. And it demands faith in the unseen, but patience has finally paid off. The revaluation is not simply a financial transaction. It is a validation of conviction. It is proof that belief, paired with discipline, can reshape lives. For some, this means freedom from debt. For others, it means the ability to secure a home. For families, it means the chance to build a lasting legacy. For communities, it means resources to uplift neighbors and transform futures. This is wealth not concentrated at the top. This is wealth flowing into the hands of everyday people. And that, in itself, is revolutionary. The transformation in Iraq's financial system did not happen overnight. It was a slow, deliberate climb from the wreckage of war and sanctions. For years, Iraq's economy lay in ruins. Currency collapse had wiped out savings and trust. Ordinary citizens bore the brunt of hyperinflation and scarcity. The Central Bank of Iraq became the anchor for stability. It understood that credibility was not given, but earned. Step by step, it set out to rebuild that credibility. Modernization began with the basics. Payment systems were updated. Banking infrastructure was digitized. Corruption was targeted, though never fully eliminated. Adopting international banking standards was essential. Iraq wanted to integrate with global finance. That meant transparency, compliance, and regulation. New oversight mechanisms were put in place. Audits became stricter. Reporting improved. The language of reform slowly replaced the language of chaos. Investors took note, even if quietly. Those who studied Iraq's oil wealth saw what was coming. They understood that beneath the rubble lay immense potential. The dinar, once worth mere fractions of a cent, became symbolic. It symbolized not just currency, but sovereignty. It symbolized a nation determined to reassert itself. Each incremental reform added weight to the inevitable. The world could not ignore Iraq's resources forever, nor could it ignore the discipline of its central bank. For Iraqis, the revaluation represents purchasing power. It represents stability in daily life, groceries, housing, wages. It represents dignity restored after years of hardship. For global investors, it is vindication. The long wait, the patience, the belief, it has finally been rewarded. For the financial order, it is a recalibration. It is a reminder that influence follows resources, and that no currency, however broken, is beyond resurrection. Everyday belief, extraordinary gain. John's story is not unique, but it is powerful. A retired veteran, he put down just $5,000 into Dinar back in 2012. At the time, his friends laughed. Financial advisors told him it was foolish. The mainstream mocked the very idea. For years, John kept quiet. He tucked his notes away in a safe deposit box. He waited. He endured the jokes, the rolled eyes, the dismissals. Today, that patience has been rewarded. His modest portfolio has transformed into millions. He is no longer the butt of jokes. He is the proof that belief, paired with persistence, can pay off. Families once crushed by debt are preparing for freedom. Mortgage chains are about to be broken. Student loans, credit card balances, and medical bills will disappear overnight. The sense of release is immeasurable. Small business owners see new horizons opening. A family bakery can now expand into a chain. A local mechanic can invest in equipment. A dream once shelved can be brought to life. Generational wealth is no longer abstract. Parents see the chance to fund college tuition without debt. Grandparents see the opportunity to leave legacies. Communities see capital flowing where it has long been absent. The global ripples, but this story is not confined to individuals. The implications are global. When the dinar and dong revalued, the world took notice. Central banks are watching closely. Every reserve calculation is under review. Forex algorithms must be rewritten from the ground up. Dollar dominance no longer feels untouchable. For decades, the greenback stood unrivaled. Now, alternatives are rising from unexpected places. In whispers already, the question spreads. Which undervalued currencies might be next? Could Africa's hidden economies hold the next surprise? Could South America's resource-rich nations step forward? The speculation doesn't stop there. Some point to digital currencies as inevitable. Others insist gold-backed systems are returning. Still others argue asset-backed models will rule the next era. One truth is clear. This is not an isolated moment. It is the spark of a broader restructuring, and the world is bracing for what comes next. The turning point. For years, the mainstream dismissed revaluation. They branded it a myth. They called it a scam. They mocked those who believed. Headlines scoffed at the idea. Analysts waved it away as fantasy. Economists wrote papers explaining why it could never happen. The consensus was ironclad, impossible. But today, that consensus is broken. The impossible has arrived. The U.S. Treasury has confirmed it. The dinar and the dong are revalued. This is not rumor. This is not internet chatter. This is history, a turning point in modern finance. The balance has shifted. The global order has been shaken, and investors who held through ridicule now stand vindicated. Their patience has paid off. The vindication of belief for the believer. This moment is sweet. They endured years of laughter. They faced skepticism from family. They weathered doubt from friends. But they held on. They trusted their research. They trusted their instincts. They trusted time. Now the reward is visible. What was once a theory is now a fact. What was once a dream is now reality. And what was once dismissed is now front-page news. Vindication is powerful. It rewrites memory. It erases doubt. It strengthens conviction. The warning to observers: for those holding, congratulations. The journey has been long. The patience has been tested. The payoff is arriving. But for those not holding, the message is clear. Pay attention. Do not dismiss too quickly. Do not assume history cannot surprise you, because this is only the beginning. The revaluation of the dinar and dong is a spark, a signal, a first domino. The financial world is entering a new chapter. A wealth paradigm is emerging, and those unprepared risk being left behind. Here at IQD Global Intel, we watch the shifts. We track the whispers. We study the signals. We connect the dots others miss. Our mission is simple: to deliver breaking updates, to provide exclusive insights, to share intelligence that matters. Subscribers know this is more than news. It is navigation. It is preparation. It is survival in a changing economy. History is unfolding. You are living inside it, and IQD Global Intel will guide you through it. Step by step. Disclaimer. This report is for informational and educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors. Currency revaluation is a complex, high-risk process with no guarantees. Always conduct your own due diligence and consult licensed professionals before making investment decisions.